bowl of the onions. They smell really good. And the mashed potato. In with the lentils. A teacupful of lentils do go quite a long way. They are very, very economical. So I've mixed that really well together. So here we are. I've got a heat dessert spoon here. I'm rolling this into a sausage shape. A big fat sausage. Roll them as long as you want. Try that. Grand day rising everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another episode of my historical recipes. Now this one is for lentil sausages. It is from the Victory Cookbook by Marguerite Patten. So the recipes are from around 1945, the end of the Second World War. Rationing in the UK went on until 1954. Meat was the last thing to come off ration. Everybody was given a ration book, and you could maybe have 4 ounces of meat each per person per week when things weren't too tough, although that is pretty tough. But they also had a point system. So for example, every couple of months you might be able to get some butcher's sausages, and if you couldn't get those because they often used to run out with not being on the actual ration book, you might be able to get an £8 bag of lentils. And of course lentils are a valuable source of plant protein. And none of this, in those days, fake meat malarkey, just what nature intended. Now, one of my favourite sausages is Glamorgan sausage, which is potato and cheese and onion or leek and seasoning. Very delicious. So we'll see how these lentil sausages turn out. Lentil sausages were perhaps part of the factory celebrations in 1945 because men and women up and down the country, Dan's granddad, for example, he didn't go to war because he was a precision engineer, so he was needed to be working as part of the war effort. So the lentil sausages were maybe one of the hot dishes that would have been served at these factory celebrations. So you'd have your bog standard recipes in the factory canteens, and then something maybe a little bit more elevated for the celebrations at the end of the war. The only thing with this one, whilst the ingredients and the recipe are authentic, the quantities are smaller, of course, than what would have been used in the canteens. Now, this recipe will make about 8 sausages. It might make 1 or 2 extra depending on how many red lentils I actually have. I've prepped all the ingredients, so all we need to do is just put everything together. First, I have some cooked mashed potato. This is as fine as I can make it. We had some leftover potatoes from supper last night, so all I did was mash them together with some hot water, a little milk, and just a little bit of butter. Also some salt and pepper. So I'm going to put that in a bowl, along with some cooked lentils. Now these are nice and soft. The recipe states do lentils and onions together, but I needed to cook some lentils separately yesterday for some lentil soup that I made. because I do like blended lentils, but I also like to add some that are still whole. So I cooked these off and I've set these aside, and I've also fried off an onion finely chopped separately. This is the onion. So into a bowl with the onions. They smell really good. And the mashed potato. Now the recipe didn't say whether the potato needed to have butter and milk or anything like that added, but I did, because some recipes are very specific, such as bread, where you just mash the potato, you don't add anything else to it. And then in with the lentils. A teacup full of lentils do go quite a long way. They are very, very economical and so versatile. So I've mixed that really well together. I'm going to add some salt. This is pure kosher sea salt. A good sprinkling of black pepper. I like my things very peppery. My nan put a lot of pepper in mashed potato. I used to love her peppery mash. But you find that lentils can dumb down any seasoning, so they can carry quite a lot. I'm also adding some chopped herbs from the garden. Our sage is recovering, yay! So I've got sage and thyme here. I have no parsley, but this will do just fine. Then you add a tablespoon of flour. You can add soy flour if you have any. You could probably add chickpea flour, but if you don't have either of those, just use a level tablespoon of all-purpose flour and mix that in really well. And then I'm going to put the mixture on a floured board and form it into sausage shapes. That's how it looks at the moment. So here we are. I've got a heaped dessert spoon here. I'm rolling this into a sausage shape. It's a big fat sausage. Roll them as long as you want. I'll try that, and then I'll try one that's a little bit smaller and see how that comes out. This is about a dessert spoon. Remember to add enough flour to the board. That one's a small one, so I'll take a bit more. I think they're quite good that length, actually. That one's a bit thinner. It really doesn't matter. And you just keep doing that. When you've made a few, you can lay them on some greaseproof paper in a dish, and then when we've done all of them, we can firm them up in the fridge. They'll probably cook better once they're nice and firm. You can, if you want, coat them in a little beaten egg then, and some fine breadcrumbs. It has made 8, but 2 of them are large. So we would probably have got 9 normal size sausages. So they're going in the refrigerator now just to firm up. I'm frying off a couple of these beauties for lunch. Go with my egg salad and a sprinkling of cheese. I must say those are looking really good. Well, here is a lovely plate of food. You can see the lentil sausages. I'm going to give those a go, see what they're like. I've got a little bit of mayonnaise, the dipping. They look like sausages, but they're not. You can tell that they are lentil and potato based. It looks a bit like sausage meat. They're very flavourful. There's always a benefit to be had putting as much flavour in anything lentil based as possible, because they do soak up quite a lot of flavour. They're really good. They're a success. I think they would make a lovely meal with some vegetables, maybe some Yorkshire pudding. I could see that they would be quite successful as toad in the hole. They are quite delicate. You need to handle them carefully. I'm going to freeze the others. I think they will cook really well from frozen. And certainly, if they're going in a Yorkshire pudding, they would benefit from being cooked, I think, from frozen. They're less likely to disintegrate in the pan. I had to be quite careful. Once you start cooking them, they firm up a little, but they will benefit from being frozen. I would probably eat them within a month or so. I don't think they'll last that long in this household. I think Dan will really enjoy those. I'm enjoying them a lot. You could as well serve them as bangers and mash with some onion gravy. We've already got potato in there. You could maybe do a carrot mash or a sweet potato mash. That will balance things up quite well. And certainly a green vegetable or some carrots, or as well as. Very nice indeed. A very successful recipe. As I said earlier, you can, if you want, breadcrumb them. But I think they would definitely benefit first from being firmed up a little bit more, because they are likely to break up. I would maybe do that from frozen or semi-frozen. I think the breadcrumbs would be a nice addition, but I think they would break up in that egg mixture if you just refrigerated them for a while. Anyway, let me have your thoughts. I think it's a nice recipe. I'm not into plant-based sausages anyway. I'd rather have something that was made with more natural ingredients. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Please share and subscribe. Ding the notification bell. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for another recipe. Until then, bye for now.